I still think about that night every time I come home late and I wish I had just ignored him. It started when I was returning from work around 1:30 a.m. The streets were empty and the air was cold. My apartment building is old with no security and a dim entrance light that barely works. As I was opening the main door, I noticed a man standing nearby just watching me. At first I thought he was waiting for someone, but something about him felt wrong. He wasn't on his phone or moving, he was just standing still looking at the entrance like he was waiting for me specifically. As I opened the door, he stepped closer and asked if he could wait inside the building because his phone was dead and he was waiting for someone. It was freezing outside and I just wanted to go upstairs, so I hesitated then agreed. I let him into the entrance area and went up to my apartment. About half an hour later I was in bed when I heard a knock on my door. It was soft at first, so I checked the peephole but saw nothing. I stayed still for a moment then went back to bed. A few minutes later there was another knock, louder this time. I checked again but the hallway was empty. Then I heard footsteps on the stairs moving slowly upward. That's when I started feeling uneasy. Then I heard a voice right outside my door, very low, saying, "I told you I'd wait inside." I froze because I recognized the voice. It was the same man, but I never saw him in the hallway. I stepped back and suddenly the lights in the building flickered and went out completely. Everything went silent. Then I heard metal scraping like a key going into my lock from the outside. My door was locked but someone was still trying to open it slowly, like they knew exactly what they were doing. Then I heard his voice again right through the door saying, "You didn't let me wait in the hallway, so I came up instead." I backed away completely terrified and stayed in my room not making a sound. After a few minutes everything stopped. No more knocking, no or voice, just silence. Then I heard footsteps again, but this time they were going down the stairs slowly like the person was leaving. I didn't leave my room until morning. The next day I went downstairs to ask about the man, but no one in the building had seen him. Even worse, there were no security recordings from that night because the system was under maintenance. A neighbor even told me something that still bothers me. They said no one entered the building that night and my floor stayed completely quiet. But I know what I heard. I know what I saw. And even now sometimes at night I still hear knocking outside my door and I never open it anymore.
After that message, I kept trying to convince myself that it was finally over, but I never really felt safe again. No matter where I went or how much I tried to distract myself, I always had this feeling that something was still following me quietly in the background. Nights became the worst because everything would go silent, and that's when I would start hearing things again, like faint movements or sounds that didn't make sense. One night, I was sitting alone in my apartment when I heard a soft knock on the door. I didn't move at first because I already knew better than to react, but then there was another knock a little louder, and I just stayed completely still listening. My heart started racing, but I didn't go near the door. Then my phone lit up on its own, even though I wasn't touching it, and there was another unknown message. I already knew I shouldn't open it, but I did anyway. It was an audio file, just like before, and at first there was silence. Then his voice came through, calm and very close, saying, "You don't have to open the door anymore, I already know where you are." And I dropped my phone instantly and stepped back. I didn't make a sound, I didn't move, I just stayed frozen trying to understand what was happening. For a few seconds, everything went silent again, and I thought maybe it stopped, maybe this time it was finally done, but then I heard something worse. Footsteps. Inside my apartment hallway. Slow and steady, moving right past my room like someone was walking through the space, even though I knew I was alone. I stayed completely still, not breathing, not reacting, just listening as the footsteps stopped right outside my door. Then there was silence again, but it didn't feel empty, it felt like something was standing there waiting. Then I heard his voice again, very low, right at the door, saying, "I'm not outside anymore." And that was the moment I understood that whatever I let in that night never really left, it just stopped needing to knock. After hearing that voice right at my door, I didn't move for what felt like forever. I just stood there in complete silence, trying to convince myself it wasn't real, but deep down I already knew something had changed because the feeling wasn't coming from outside anymore, it was inside the apartment with me. I slowly backed away without taking my eyes off the door, and I didn't dare make a sound because every instinct in me was telling me that reacting would make it worse. For a few minutes, nothing happened, and that silence almost felt worse than the knocking before because it felt intentional, like whatever was there was waiting for me to relax again. Then I heard it very faint at first, like movement inside the hallway of my apartment again, slow footsteps moving away from my room, like someone was exploring the space without any rush. I stayed frozen listening as they moved further inside, and then suddenly stopped again. Then my phone lit up one more time, and I already knew I shouldn't open it, but I did, and there was another audio message this time, no breathing, no static, just his voice very calm saying, "You keep thinking I'm coming to you, but I never left your side." And right after I heard something behind me inside the room, like a soft shift in the air, like someone had just moved closer without making a sound. I didn't turn around, I just stood there staring at the door while realizing that the knocking had never been the real problem, because whatever I let in that night wasn't trying to get inside anymore, it was already inside, and now it didn't need to knock at all. After that moment, I stopped moving completely. I didn't even breathe properly, because I felt like any sound from me would confirm that I knew it was there with me inside the room. I kept staring at the door, hoping it would open or close or something would break the silence. But nothing happened for a while, and that silence felt heavier than anything before. Then I heard it again, not from the hallway this time, but closer, much closer, like it was just behind me, but I still didn't turn around. My phone lit up again on the floor, and even though I was terrified, I couldn't stop myself from looking at it. And there was another audio message already playing by itself. His voice came through again, calm and close, saying, "You're finally quiet now, that's better." And as soon as I heard that, I felt something shift in the room, like the air changed, like something had settled into place behind me. I still didn't turn around because I understood something I didn't want to accept any more than knocking, the footsteps, the messages. None of it was about getting my attention. It was about making sure I knew it was already there, and now that I was completely still, it didn't need to hide anymore. And right before everything went silent again, I heard one last thing very softly right next to my ear, saying, "Now I don't have to wait outside anymore."